Okay, I think that looks like we're pretty much all there. Thank you, everybody, for joining us this morning for this meeting. I'm so excited to see such a large group, and we'll keep on admitting people as they're joining in the waiting room there, and we'll go ahead and get started. If I haven't had a chance to meet you yet, my name is Allison Lanier, and my role is Deputy Superintendent of Educational Services. So, really, that just means I support all of our schools with teaching and learning and health and mental health. And I'm happy that we have so many of you here today. We have a large group. I would love it if you would put a hello in the chat and say your role so we can get a sense of who's in the room here. And I'll also pass to Miko to introduce herself since she's the person that's been sending you all these meeting invites and things.
Good morning, everyone. Thanks for joining. I am Miko Pennington, and I'm the admin secretary here in Ed Services. And I would be your contact if you have questions or comments or anything. You could forward them to me, and I could forward them on to the right person if you don't know who to contact. Thanks for joining.
Yes, and Sarah, would you introduce yourself?
Hi, good morning, everybody. My name is Sarah Brown, and I'm one of the directors of instruction and intervention, and I'm also in charge of our ELD program. So welcome, everybody. Glad to see you this morning.
Fantastic. And Kimberly Carvallison's joining us today. Kimberly?
Hi, good morning. I'm Kimberly Carvalison. I'm one of the program managers for behavior and mental health.
Yes, fantastic. And I'm seeing lots of good mornings in the chat. If you hadn't had a chance to introduce yourself in the chat, go ahead and do that. It's great to see all the words of hello. And thank you again for being here this morning for this meeting. So Miko is going to put the slides up. And today we're going to make sure that you know where to find all these meeting materials since we're posting them in board docs this year. And then we're going to spend a little bit of time talking about mental health support in our district. And then I'm going to give you a preview regarding what's coming up at our next meeting, something that we're working on in the district. And then at the end of the meeting, we'll just make sure everybody knows the calendar flow. We have some in-person meetings and some virtual meetings. That was the will of the group last spring when we were talking about this. So sometimes we'll be together in this format and sometimes we'll be together in the boardroom over here at the district office. Okay, so we can keep going here to the next slide. And these are our district priorities, just as a reminder. If you were here at the last meeting, you saw these, or if you've been tuning into the board meetings, you probably saw these as well. Every year, we have an established set of district priorities, and then everything that we're doing connects to these priorities. So the first three there have been ongoing for a few years now, and then the fourth one there is new this year. So our first priority, of course, is always regarding academic excellence. It's our core mission and our commitment to personalizing learning to support the whole child. And the whole child means that we know that the kids are growing and learning so much. They're growing academically, but they're also growing in all the other ways that students grow in these age groups. So that means they're growing socially and emotionally with the way that they build friendships and express their feelings and learn how to resolve conflicts. And they're also growing physically, and new physical milestones are happening. And they're getting stronger, and they all of a sudden they can do things like the monkey bars or jumping rope or being competitive in their sports leagues, for example. So kids are growing in all those ways, and that's what priority one is about. The second priority is community engagement and involvement. And this meeting here is a big part of that priority. This is about making sure we're partnering with our community and everyone who is a part of CUSD. And then the third one is district sustainability, and this is really led by our business office. This is about financial stability and planning for the future and making sure that all of our operations are working smoothly and helping us to achieve all of the other priorities. And the fourth one is sense of belonging. We've been talking a lot about this regarding the students since we returned to school after COVID, wanting to make sure that all of the kids feel connected and supported and known. And this year, we're extending that to staff. We know that our staff, this is our greatest asset in the district is our staff. When we think about the student experience day to day, it's the people who make that experience great for the kids. And so we want to make sure that all of our employees feel that they can contribute to the district priorities, that their voice is heard, and that they can give it their all when they're here, but also have that work life balance that we know helps sustain the good work over time. So, those are the things that the district's working on this year. And at our last meeting, also, we highlighted our strategic plan. And I wanted to just bring this forward again, since I know some of you, we were still getting our new members in place when we held the last meeting. So some of you might not have heard this at the last meeting. As part of community engagement and involvement, District Priority 2, we have some belief statements in our strategic plan that I wanted to highlight for you. We've developed this strategic plan about 5 years ago. We had extensive community meetings, hundreds and hundreds of inputs to build the long range vision for the district. And a big part of it was about community engagement and involvement. It really is just saying that we know when we work together with you, that we can do great things for the kids. So these are two of the statements that are in our strategic plan regarding this. When families, community, and schools work together, students are more successful and the entire community benefits. And then we have a commitment statement that says we will support student success and family engagement by building partnerships with parents and community organizations. So I wanted to say thank you again for being here. You are a big part of how this shows up in our system, and we really look forward to working with you throughout this year. Okay, we can go to the next slide. So we are in something called board docs, and in this photo here, this is a screenshot of our district homepage. If you have gone to any of the board meetings virtually, you've probably figured out where this is, but if you haven't, you might not know. So we wanted to be sure to show where to find it. On the bottom of the district homepage, you can see where it's circled there. That's where you can click on board docs. And then you will see this menu. Normally, Board of Education is showing up at the top there on the screenshot where the yellow is, but you can click on that little arrow there, and that's where you can find all of the different meetings that are stored in board docs, and you can find the PAC and Delac information there. There's also other meetings if you're interested in some of the other committees that are meeting, that a lot of those are posted here as well. And then once you get into the PAC Delac section, you can find the meeting materials that are current or past. So just wanted to be sure everybody knew how to do that, since we've only been using this for maybe a year or maybe even a little less. This new system, we used to just send it out by email, but this way we know that it's more transparent for everybody. Anybody can find it, and it's just easy also to keep it all in one spot, so we don't have to search through emails or remember where we posted it anywhere. It's just all right there for everyone. Okay, and moving on. Last year, this was a topic of interest for the group, and actually at our last meeting, it came up as well, wanting to know a little more about the mental health supports that are provided in the district. And so Kimberly Harvalison is here to talk to us about that today. So Kimberly, I pass to you.
Great, thank you. And I will share my screen there. So again, Welcome. And I'm Kimberly Carvalison, and I'm a program manager for behavior and mental health. And so my background is a licensed clinical social worker, and I'm also a board certified behavior analyst. So I really like bringing the world of mental health and behavior to help empower our students and our family and our staff and our teachers for success for our students. I've been doing this type of work for about 20 years in various capacities. And so I'm just really excited to talk about what we do here at COSD. So embedded in most of our supports, we have this model of the MTSS, which might be something that you've heard of, which is multi-tiered systems of support. And what that means is that there's layers of support to really identify and really lift our students who might be struggling, and then also making sure that we have a basic universal supports for all of our students, right? And so as you can see, there's these 3 triangles within a triangle. And the bottom layer is the universal. And so it's typically referred to as tier 1. And so when we think about social emotional supports that are available to all of our students, all of our families, and to all of our kids. So, and that looks like the social emotional learning curriculum that may be in the classroom, Care Solace, which is a resource, well, I'll talk a little bit more about in a bit. Partnerships with Parent Venture, which show parent and caregiver trainings about different topics that might be of interest or coming across for you and your family, and different other resources and activities. So these are things that are happening school-wide, district-wide, or classroom-wide. Then things are a little bit more targeted, and that's that tier 2. And this might look like more group counseling or consultation with a counselor. If a student is expressing any kind of safety concerns, we have a safety risk assessment process that we would go through to support the student and maintain safety. And then, of course, if there is more intensive support that a student might need, it could look like individual counseling. Maybe we need to consider assessment. Maybe there's a disability there. And so there might be some more intensive supports there. So that's just, social emotional supports that are throughout the district and within each of the tiers, and how everybody can get support. So embedded in our whole child, we really feel really strongly about making sure that our whole community has resources and knows where to find information for whatever it is that's facing you or your family. And so I just wanted to take a minute to show you some of our resources that are available on our district website. So if you, let's see if I can move that. Okay, are you seeing the mental health resource page now?
Yes.
Perfect. Thank you. So in any of the district home or any of our school sites, if you go to any of their websites, you will see that there is a pull-out menu right here under popular links for mental health resources, and it will take you to this tab. And here we have, if you are experiencing any kind of mental health emergency, different resources that can be called. If it is for your student, there is a 24-hour, 7 days a week crisis line that can be helpful for you if you're at home and there is a crisis. The other piece is aside from just crisis support, we really have a list of different family resources that we've cultivated by topics. And so a couple that I just want to bring to your attention so you can see how this works is maybe you have a concern about online safety. Like, is this something that I really, want to know more about. So here's a guide to teens and technology. If there's any friends that are up here that is making a comment about suicidal content on social media, how to report it. But I wanted to let you know about Common Sense Media. So this will just take you right here. You can actually cultivate for yourself what you're hearing something about a game or a movie or a podcast or an app that your student might be interested in, and you can actually look here and go through the process and like, how old is my kid? Well, I have a 9-year-old who talks about different platforms all the time. So then I can say, all right, so what is he what kind of capacity do we have it? Well, he has a Nintendo Switch. And then so where's the limits that I want to set for my student? And each of the content lists, I can say, I don't want any of that. I want to, not a lot of very little scariness. So I can then go through the whole process of saying, what are suggestions for a student who's that age, and what are some of the pieces? Perfect. He loves soccer. This is a great little strategy way to find that information. You can use it with apps and games and books and movies as well. So this is a really helpful tool that's free and available to you. So going back to our student support services, so that's just one example of the different topics that we have. Maybe you and your family have experienced a loss at home, and so you want to know more about grief support services. And so here are some local community resources for grief support. We often partner with Bill Wilson Center, their Center for Living with Dying. So then you would just click on this and it would have the information to reach out to Bill Wilson Center, has their phone number. So then you also have that contact information. And then one more that I'd really like to show you is the family workshops part. This has some that we've curated over time, and we've have some other videos that are there for you, but we also have partnered with Parent Venture, which has a parent education series. And you may have seen some emails that have already gone out about different topics, and they're an excellent resource. The great news is that they record all of their topics and all of their conversations. So they might have an author coming in to talk about their book and some of the main strategies to try. And this has their entire YouTube library video series here that you can find here. So you can select it and look at it by topics. They're really, really key. Really, I found them very interesting myself about the different authors that they bring in, the different topics, and the different strategies that you can walk away with. So that is also a resource for you. And then we have some virtual calming spaces that we've definitely created, out of necessity during shelter in place. However, they've been a living resource that's been really nice to have. And this is totally available for you at home. So you can listen to music, different sounds, visual relaxation, have excellent drone footage of some beautiful places that really does, take you to another moment. There's some different guided exercise and breathing exercises that are really great. And then there's some other family resources that we've cultivated. We did a couple of trainings a few years back. And so we did record those and keep all of them filed under here. So if those are of interest to you, they are available to you as well. So there's a lot of information on this page for you. One that I really want to highlight, which is a resource through our district, we've partnered with Care Solace. This is a 24-hour, 7 days a week concierge line to assist anyone in connecting to mental health supports. So this is something that they can help you find mental health support through your own insurance, or if you want to pay out of pocket, or if you need a sliding scale, if you want to have virtual, or if you want to have in person, they can help find that person for you. Also, if you are interested in certain topics, and if this is something that's affecting a family member, this is also available to you and your family. So not just if it's something that your student is experiencing, but say there's, like I mentioned before, like grief or loss, or there's an addiction, or, there is just someone who just needs to talk with somebody. These are some different resources. You would just click on here where it says the Care Solace CUSD families, and it will take you right to Care Solace. And you can do the search on your own, or you can set up a call, video chat, a texting line. The really nice piece is that you can select whatever language that you would like this to be in so that you can get the most accurate information and that your message can be really clear about what your healthcare needs are. So that's available for you as well. They'll even go to the point where they will help you, not only make those initial first contact, but up to booking your first appointment. So this is a really great resource to have. It takes a lot of that red tape out of trying to find support, and when there might be a family crisis or someone who's in really a strong need. And so this really takes away all of that running around, so that you have somebody helping you through that process. So with that, those are all of our resources on our mental health resource tab. There is this little pull out, which is a new piece that we have at all of our middle schools, where we are trying to have more education campaigns for our students to be more aware of their own mental health and what does it look like, how do I get help and support. So for our middle schools, we created this poster flyer that talks about what mental health is, where they can get help, who are the safe people and trusted adults that can help them, guide them through this process. What are some of the positive coping strategies to try, and then trying to avoid harmful coping strategies. So, and then we have it in various languages that are at the school site too. So with that, those are some of our resources and our supports that are available for all of our families. And so hopefully you'll feel a little bit more comfortable in navigating and connecting through the different resources there. And then sometimes you're worried about or concerned with your student at school. Maybe there's something that they're very anxious about, or something that's coming up. And so we do have a counseling referral process for school-based counseling support. So a lot of times there's short-term support that we use to help students be able to better access their education. So if they're withdrawing, or peer conflict, or don't quite have a social skill that was in demand, or that is causing some struggles with them, that's something that you can bring up to your teacher, you can bring it to the principal, and we can go through the counseling referral process. And through the referral process, we support students holistically, right? We're looking at the whole child. So sometimes it will lead to trying some strategies in the classroom. Sometimes it's, really coming up with the best way for the student to articulate and communicate in the classroom. Sometimes it's about being able to take a break and using a coping strategy within the classroom. And so, we talk about it, through the whole student's school day and where they are experiencing that. So sometimes it lands with just looking at something like that or trying some short-term counseling as well. So that is another avenue of support. A little bit about our mental health team. We have 12 mental health therapists. These are folks who are either licensed in their discipline, so licensed clinical social worker, licensed marriage family therapist, or licensed LPCC, or they're an associate on their way towards licensure. And so that could be also what they come as from their discipline. We also have 10 mental health counseling interns, which is an exciting partnership with neighboring universities to really start their exposure with school-based counseling to hopefully get more people into the profession of school-based counseling. Interesting note about that is that a lot of our returning students, so some alum, really want to give back to the school. And if they've selected this as a profession, really want to do their internship with CUSD because they've had such a positive experience and they really want to help and connect. And that really isn't a testament to the community that is built here. And so, so we have a lot of people who want to come back and give back. So that's really exciting. So our mental health team helps across the 23 schools. Of course, the larger schools, like our middle schools, have more provider time, but most of our school sites have touched with a mental health provider. And what we provide in this capacity is really that other perspective of thinking about the student through this social emotional lens. We provide a lot of consultation. We do training for teams. We provide tools and resources. We're often folks that help with any safety risk assessments. And there are providers for individual and group counseling. They also provide social support like lunch bunches or clubs or different activities. So students have a chance to engage with one another and get that a little bit more of an adult facilitated connection. So, and so this is one way that we really try to build capacity at our school sites so that we are supporting our teachers, our staff, our students, and our families in how to support mental wellness and mental health across the district. So I feel like I talked a lot. Really thank you for your letting me come here today to just share a little bit about the mental health program. But happy to answer any questions if folks have that. And if you wanted to share anything too, that's fine too. Thank you.
We'll see if anybody wants to put any questions in the chat.
Okay, so the first one I see is with the school closures, how has student mental health as a whole been since that transition? So yeah, there were the closure of the different schools. We really worked and teamed with the schools at that point to talk about change and what happens with change and how to support change. One of our interns made a community project and actually talked about it from each of the schools that were experiencing closure and consolidation, that they were able to look at what they were envisioning about their school and what they needed from their school community, and that then was brought to their new school environment so that those leaders had that idea and the support, and they had that connection through it. So we were really thoughtful in that process. However, everyone experiences change in different ways. So what was really something that we tried to launch was a lot of social experiences. That seemed to be kind of the bigger piece that was needed, so kids could start getting to know the other kids, and trying to build that piece. But honestly, from COVID and from our shutdown, we had like kind of different layers during that time as well, right? It has made mental health a prominent concern and issue for all of our students. And so that's why we have increased the FTE of our mental health therapists across the district, because we really want to respond to that, but also be preventative, right? Really talking about it from, remember that the different tiers, the universal level. So we not just at the tippy top of the most intensive, but really trying to spread that out and really lift classrooms, teachers, and the rest of the school staff, and helping wrap our arms around those students. I'm not sure if I answered your question about that, but hopefully that helps. Okay, so mental health support, super needed. Yes. How do we make it more practical for students, teachers, and parents? Yeah, workshops. I'm really excited about workshops. That was part of having our parent joint venture, having that resource, is because they bring in guest speakers who are just prominent figures in the field. And so we're getting in touch with those experts. And just by signing up for it, which is free, you get the recorded training sent to you. And sometimes I just sign up. I know I'm not going to be able to make it, but I know I'm going to get that recording and I can go listen to that later. And they put it in bite-sized nuggets, which I feel is very helpful. So I can just like listen to that in my commute. And so there are different ways to try to factor that in. So I think as a working parent, that's something that becomes a little bit more accessible in there. Okay, so different content. Oh gosh, social media. Yeah. Yeah. This is a really challenging, I also I have a daughter in middle school, so I definitely feel for folks that are really seeing this unfold. I'm always saying that I'm so grateful that I made mistakes in middle school and high school and college that were not part of social media, right? And here are kids living in this era where it's just really all on a platform, and they're truly trying to navigate friendships, relationships, trust, problem solving, all through these permanent fixtures, right? And social media. So it is, and I feel like we do need to continue to partner, and it is one of those things where it's not a one answer for everyone, right? There are, and I know it probably sounds like a broken record, but the Parent Venture Series has several prominent folks that talk about how to talk about social media with your kids, how to make contracts, how to build agreements, how to put the boundaries in place, right? Is everybody, have to have a device? And if so, like, what is the access on the device, right? And then just really coming to it, because really at the end of the day, it is about your relationship with your child. And so how do you have that balance as you're going through it, through this content that maybe you wouldn't have had your student, they're getting exposed to things much earlier than you would have maybe planned, right? And so helping them navigate through that. But at the end of the day, you want to be that person for your child, to be able to partner through it. So again, there's been some really good conversation through that on that library series. Also, let's see if I'm trying to going through district, doing web analytics on these pages. Oh, what is the visits for the virtual calming spaces? I'm not sure. That's a really good question about how to look at what kind of action that gets. So during the winter vacation, will these resources be shared through like Parent Square or Student Square? Which resources, like the mental health resource page, or for parents through Parent Square? Oh, I think I can't. I don't think I have. I don't think I can hear you.
I think that came in, Kimberly, when you were going over all of those different resources that are available. So vacations are a great time for us to push out those kind of messages. So I just added a note that we can work with our communications department to kind of take a look at that. And we normally send something out around the holiday time anyway. So that would be great. And then the final comment there is regarding Project Cornerstone and what a wonderful opportunity those workshops are for parents.
Absolutely. Project Cornerstone is a wonderful resource. Their workshops and then the content that they have is just very, very valuable.
Okay, well, thank you so much, Kimberly. And parents, if you have questions about mental health support at your school, you can reach out to your teacher or the school principal, and they can help you get connected with anything that you might need that we offer. So thank you. Thanks, Kimberly. I'm so glad we were able to have you join us today. I know this is a topic of interest for many of our parents. So thank you, everyone. Okay, so moving on to the next item. This is a preview of what's to come at our October meeting. Wanted to just give you a little bit of background. 5 years ago, when the district was going through the strategic planning process, a big component of that was formulating what we call the CUSD profile of a learner. This is something that you may have come across in other districts. If you've been in other districts, sometimes it's called the portrait of a learner or the portrait of a graduate. Really, what this means is thinking about what are those skills that we want all of our kids to have as they leave us in 8th grade and prepare to go on to high school. And this works in conjunction with all of the academic skills that we know are core to what we are doing. So, this is thinking about those transferable, durable skills that go across all the different content areas. They show up in science class and reading and writing and math and all the things that the kids are learning academically. They're those habits of mind, life skills, qualities that the kids can take with them into high school and beyond that support success. So we had a lot of wonderful conversations 5 years ago as we were developing this, and we came up with this paragraph here that's called this USD profile of a learner. And we're lifting that back out. We're spending some time this fall talking about it between now and winter break. We're going to be bringing this to the school sites through vehicles such as School Site Council, this group. We've met with our principals group. We'll be engaging our board. And we're really asking that question of how does this feel now? A lot has happened locally and globally in the last 5 years. We're looking at resources that are beyond education. You know, those agencies like the one noted here that project what are those skills that the kids need for their future, and we're kind of reinvigorating this conversation so that we can begin to think about building out from a paragraph into things that can help us take a look at how the kids' experience lines up to these qualities over the different grade levels. So we'll be asking for your feedback on some revisions to this, and we'll be having those conversations at the school sites, just like we did with the strategic plan. And by the end of the year, we hope to have a refreshed version of this. We had a teacher team that worked on this over the summer, and we're going to be bringing to you their initial thinking. We know that things will continue to shift and change as we have more conversations. But by the end of the year, we hope to have a really solid, revised profile of a learner that will help us then take the next steps going forward. And just to give you a little flavor of some of the things that were talked about, a lot of these things that are in this paragraph, they still felt very, very important to our teacher team. And there were also some new things that came up as we were reflecting on what happened with the pandemic, as well as just how the world has been changing over the last 5 years. So, for example, there was a lot of conversation about the importance of wellness being kind of a foundational skill for all of us. And then also, there was quite a bit of conversation around the importance of being flexible and adaptable, and being able to adjust through change. So those were some of the things that came up in the teacher team. We're going to bring to you a draft that came out of that teacher work group and get some feedback on it, and work our way through all the different feedback groups. And we'll share a little bit more about why we're working on this as well. The district is part of a national network called Battelle for Kids. And this is school districts, county office of education, state departments, um, all kinds of educational organizations touching millions and millions of students that are thinking about this. Beyond just the very important academics, what else do our kids need? What are those durable skills that will prepare them to go after their dreams in the future? And wanting to be very intentional about the way that we're addressing those things. These things are already showing up all across our system, but we're asking ourselves, what could happen if we became more intentional about the way that we work on these skills? And what if we aligned our language across the system? What could be possible for our just amazing kids who just come to us with so much incredible passion for life and curiosity and all their big dreams that they're going after? So we are excited to bring that to you at the next meeting, and we'll tell you a little bit more about it and where we see it kind of going over the next months and years ahead. So looking at our meeting calendar, we are scheduled for a couple of meetings in October. The first one is Delac only. So Sarah will be sending out the information on that. And that meeting location is scheduled for the boardroom. Delac is the meeting for our parents of English learners. Everyone's welcome to attend, but it's focused on Delac, District English Learner Advisory Committee, because we have some legal requirements related to English learners that we cover at those meetings. So that Location is scheduled for the boardroom. I did see in the chat that there was a request to see if we can make the meetings hybrid. That also came up at our last in-person meeting. So we will try to work on that and see if we can make that happen so that there would be a choice of in-person or the boardroom. We hope people will come in person because last year when we were talking about this, there was definitely a desire in the group to try to have some in-person connection time where we can just chat and get to know each other. So if it is possible for you to come in person, it would be great. It's just a different feel than the virtual meetings. And then on October 17th, we have our next PAC and Delac meeting also scheduled for the boardroom, but we will work to make a hybrid option available as well. So just want to be sure everybody knows those meetings are coming up next. And with that, we're done a little early today. Little gift of time is never a bad thing. So thank you so much, everyone, for your participation and your active engagement in the chat. We really look forward to seeing you at the next meetings in October. Thank you.